right.
All right, so here in Trinidad,
Hey.
came to drop off my book and ran into an old friend of mine,
Old.
very old. We're not gonna date ourselves.
Accented old.
Jason, who is
Hey.
with, and don't make me sound crazy,
All right.
Jabe
All right. Jabe.
Language Services.
Sissa.
And so we thought we'll talk a little bit about like the overlap between
Our
the
industries.
things we do, the
Yeah.
things we do.
Perfect.
So Jason focuses a lot on languages,
Correct.
translation, localization, and you all know me, I talk about experience. Right, and so how do we create better experiences, particularly for employees, but in general, how to create experiences? What do you need to do? And for me, a big part of that is recognizing the impact of culture and language. So a big part of what I do is I make surveys, right? So I look at laws, I look at privacy, but I also look at, okay, are we translating, not literal translating, but are we translating what we're trying to say and ask to the audience? So
Every time you say translate,
it's going to cause
I'm here.
confusion.
No, but you might think it causes confusion, but actually is so perfectly related. Like each time that you say language, each time that I hear you say translating, it applies to us as well. The same way that you're talking about language in terms of speaking to two different English speaking employees.
Right.
The same concept applies in terms of speaking to an English speaking employee versus a Spanish speaking employee.
Yep. Yep.
When you're talking about translation in terms of taking a company message and how do you relay that to different people, that's the same idea of localization in terms of taking one message and we want to be able to relate that message to people who may speak a different language, but that they all hear the language in their own respective way that makes sense to them. So
Right.
you
And like,
saying everything that you're saying and I'm hearing it
and we're resonating. So
perfectly.
communication is happening.
Perfectly.
And so one of the things, Jason and I talked about earlier is the idea of he's creating experiences
Yes.
through communication. And I think that's super important. I remember there was a post that he had where he was talking about the importance, or the difference between translation and
Localization.
localization and why that was important. And that really resonated with me. It hit because it was so relevant to the work that I do, to the issues that I see in organizations, right? I work in the US primarily, and communicating with somebody in the south and somebody in the north of the US is different. So you imagine if you work for a multinational and you've got to communicate with somebody in Asia, somebody in
Exactly.
Africa, somebody in Latin America. What is the differences that we're trying to understand? So we tend to focus on the law, which is important, but is what we're asking even resonating, because garbage in, garbage out, right? If I am not asking it the correct way and I write a garbage survey, I can't get mad when the data that comes out is terrible,
Facts.
right?
Facts.
It's the same thing I think about when you translate and you
Yeah.
write policies
That
or you help with policies.
correct. Like the term that you just used, garbage in, garbage out. Well, we were speaking a little while ago, and I was asking if that applies to you and your industry as well, because I thought going into that was a term specifically reserved for the translation industry. So in our industry, translation, the big hype, the big talking point is AI, and machine translation. Little secret, AI has been in existence in the translation world for close to 50 years. So what we used to call machine translation back in the day was really AI, really finding a way of generating text, generative AI, using previously translated material in order to be able to make a translator more efficient. But tied to that concept is the concept of garbage in, garbage out. So in other words, if the software that you're using, if the prompts that you're using flawed terminology, you're using flawed logic, you're using incomplete terminology, incomplete logic. If you're feeding it garbage, then what you're going to get back out of it is garbage. But likewise, if you're feeding the right prompts, giving the right information, using the right technology even, if you feed it all of those things properly, then what you get back is going to be even of an even higher quality, even better quality than just using a human. So yeah.
Yeah, but garbage is even based on relevance,
All
right?
right.
Because you could say that I give this really good data, and that happens in our industry too, right?
Okay.
If you have bad data, it's going to lead to worse data. But let's use
Right.
a simple example of a simple word between English speakers, right? So we know English is supposed to be the same language. One word, boot, trunk,
Okay.
right? Boot is what the back of a car is called
For you.
in the United
For you.
United Kingdom, right? That's a boot
Okay.
in the United Kingdom.
Right.
In the US, in Trinidad, that's your car trunk,
It
right?
more in the US. I would
That's
say trunk.
that's a trunk.
But yes,
It's a
yeah,
trunk, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then when you think of a boot, you think of a shoe.
Shoe. That's what I would think of.
And then, of course, if you're talking to people in the medical field, the trunk is a part of the body.
Yes.
Then, of course, with animals, the trunk is a part of the elephant,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so we think of these words as these simple things. But so I am translating a survey, for example, or
Right.
any policy. I don't know what policy will have the word trunk in it or boot in it, but
But the
um,
concept is the same.
let's say I brought in saying do not wear boots to work.
Yeah.
Okay, that's simplified, probably
Yes.
an oversimplified example. Do not wear boots to work. That is unacceptable, right?
Right.
So let's think of something like that. And you're translating it, you did put in good data because in that sense, you were talking about shoes.
Yes.
Then you take that exact same thing and you ask it in the UK. Do people wear boots at work? Now people have to
Confusion.
stop and go,
Confusion.
do people, is this a mistranslation? And we're
Yes.
talking English to English,
Yes.
right? And so what you've created is some garbage based on cultural context.
Yes.
And so when we think of garbage, don't just think incorrect data.
Right.
Think of the relevance and relevance of that data
Yes.
as well. Because
Perfectly said.
we don't
Yeah.
think about stupid stuff like that
Perfectly said.
until you're like me and you get a whole bunch of emails about people saying we think there's an error in the survey.
Mm. One thing that now we're discussing that came to mind that I want to get your thoughts on. Another big talking point in our industry is the difference between HI, human intelligence, and AI, artificial intelligence. So I could only speak for my industry. A, a big fear of people, translators, is that robots coming to take my job, AI coming to take my job. And the message that I try to get across is AI has its use, one. Two, AI is not going away. But HI also has its use. And I would argue, let's tie right back into garbage in, garbage out. Without the HI, the AI could only do so much and no more. And through the HI, through the individuals, through you, through me, once we learn how to properly use the AI, so avoid the same garbage in, garbage out, giving the example that she gave, like the two together is what makes the end product that much better. And you need one in order to have the other.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that resonates with you.
Absolutely. We have the
Okay.
same issue with human intelligence, and sometimes human intelligence is
That's
questionable. But
facts.
when I talk about, especially in HR, this fear of AI is because we've monetized it. That's the truth.
Okay.
The biggest fear with AI should be how it's being used and the ethics of how it's being used. But it should not be a replacement, it should be an enhancement.
Right.
Right? If AI takes your job, something's wrong.
Something wrong with you.
Something is wrong.
Something wrong with
AI
you.
should not take your job
Yeah.
because context matters when building experiences. And AI and AI tools are a product of what is fed. I think we think about AI, but just think that it's just statistics,
Right.
So we talked about machine learning, right? Which is
Right.
something we've done before with qualitative data.
Right.
What it's doing is it's processing it faster, creating greater efficiencies. So it's only going to be a product of what it's fed,
Right.
right? And it's only a product of the quality of what it's fed, garbage in.
Garbage out.
And so it's when you're trying to make that distinction and you're trying to make sense of what AI can do, what it is a different skill. So instead of having to, for example, in your case, translate, for me, it might be to do data analysis from scratch.
Right.
I could probably get help in getting the data organized,
Right.
right? I can get help with doing the beginning things of it that
Yes.
cost me to waste time.
Yes.
But now I can focus on the big things, such as the context of the data, the
Same here.
localization of the data.
Correct.
Like I can get these pieces put together. And one of the things that is, I think about language as we talk more about it. Language is data.
Yeah.
Language is nothing but data. I have a friend. She speaks 6 languages and she's extremely good at coding. And when you ask her how, she's like, for me, coding is just another language, right?
Yeah.
When you look at
Just
SQL,
data.
SQL is a language. It's just how
Data.
data is being organized in different ways and how it's
Correct.
being translated. And so I think fear in AI is, I think, what's causing one of our problems. We
Agreed.
need to figure out the ethical use of AI
Agreed.
and how it can enhance us, and also what skills do we need to use to ensure that we tap into the efficiency
Upskilling.
of it.
Upskilling.
Reskilling and upskilling.
Okay, well.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Reskilling, upskilling.
So the word that I tend to go to for people who have fear with AI is upskilling.
Yeah.
You are afraid of AI because you are not yet properly trained in how to use AI, how to leverage AI to make yourself even more productive. So what is actually causing that fear is a lack of upskilling.
Yes.
If you upskill, you have no reason to fear.
It's just another tool.
Yes.
Any tool belt. I tell people I'm old enough, not dating myself. But I'm old enough to remember when we thought computers was going to replace us too.
Okay.
Now what are we
Okay.
doing? We are walking around with small computers in our hands all day long.
Facts.
And we figured out how to make more efficiencies.
Facts.
And that's what I think we have to get to. There will always be fear of something that is
New.
something that is different.
Yep.
But I think it's really trying to understand
How
what
to
is the
leverage it.
ethical use of it and how do we leverage it for the most efficiency? How does this thing make our lives better? And to your point, how do I reskill myself and upskill myself so that that fear doesn't take me? Because reskilling and upskilling also helps you figure out when the tool is not working.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
And so that is a big skill that people need to understand. Like for me with data and pattern recognition, same thing with language.
Right.
You start realizing this thing is not trained properly because this thing is mistranslating this whole thing.
Yes.
The only way you know that is if human eyes are looking at it.
Facts.
If human intelligence is going, because culture is not made by AI.
Facts.
And so when we think of experience and we think of culture, it's not made by AI. AI is a reflection of the culture,
Correct.
the thing that it's used to train it, right? And so I think that's where we have to get that cojones, if you will, to question the ethics of how it's being used, designed. And again, fear is usually a part of what happens when you monetize the thing, because people have to be a little bit afraid of it and a little bit intimidated by it for people to make money from it.
Right. Okay.
Because if everybody was dabbling in it, then it's too democratized to make money off of it, right?
So I didn't think of that.
You gotta just think, how do we get past that thing?
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much,
This
Khalifa.
this is fun.
This was really fun.
And hopefully this is one of many conversations between Jason. I wasn't going to say Jean. I wasn't going to embarrass myself. Jason and I, yes, hopefully one of many conversations, many collaborations.
Yeah, same here.
So, imagine I had to come all the way to Trinidad to talk to Jason.
Maybe the next time I'd be in South Carolina.
That's what I'm saying. Don't make a promise you're not going to keep. All right.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.